the word meaning of Ayurveda is it's a Sanskrit term. Ayur means life and Veda means science. So it's more of a science of life or
Wow.
knowledge of life. Illness is the end result of a long process which can be identified and addressed at any stage. So, Ayurveda says about the wisdom, that inner wisdom we all should have to identify it at the earliest stage. The body and mind is a continuum. It's like dark and light or hot and cold. That's what we are not understanding. The body and mind are misaligned. It should be a healthy give and take. We are the microcosm of the macrocosm universe.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
always have to be in synergy with the universe. The universe has given everything for us. So we have to really respect that. We have to be in synergy with the universe.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, he would.
The mind and gut are two long lost friends, and they both are fed up with the crap we are ingesting on a day to day basis. The mental health crisis is on its way. So be prepared. If you are spiritually aware, then you are socially fit. So the motto should be, other than being successful or being popular, being good.
Welcome, Dr. Ajith. Welcome to Rocket Pod. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you. Thank you, James. Thank you, Xander. How are you?
Yeah, we're doing really good. As you
Very
see,
good.
it's nice spring weather here in the UK.
Yeah.
Before we dig in, I just wanted to. So I'm really excited to have Dr. Ajith join Rocket Pod today. So on our travels, my wife and I went to Rajasthan back in January this year, and I met Dr. Ajith at the Royal Heritage Havelia, and he has an Ayurveda practice there, and I was struck with his. It was just really interesting. I think Dr. Ajith really piqued my interest into the practice of Ayurveda. It's a very broad science, so I think we're probably just going to scratch the surface today. But I'd love Dr. Ajith to, I guess, just elaborate a little bit about the practice of Ayurveda, and what it means to wellness. And I won't give anything away, but Dr. Ajith has a really nice way about describing this, and has his own philosophies that he also brings into it. So, welcome, Dr. Ajith. Please tell us a bit about you, and yeah, how you got into Ayurveda, and what's it all about, and why should folks pay attention to this science?
Right. By the way, myself, Dr. Ajit, I am an Ayurveda doctor by profession. I am practicing since 14 years, more than 14 years now, 14, 15 years in this field. Ayurveda is more of a way of living. In our Indian system, it's more of a way of living. So we all are familiar with this system basically. It's more of a time-tested ancient wisdom. Okay, time-tested
Mhm.
ancient wisdom which is passed down from generations and still it is very relevant. So you can understand the strength of the science. It's more than 3000 year old ancient science.
Wow.
It's written by some of our great scholars named Charaka, Susuda, Vagbata, and all. And even in today's time, it's very much relevant, and it's followed uh, and practiced by Indians in, I mean, throughout India. Widely it is practiced, and
Mm.
people are following this. So uh, when I tell about Ayurveda, it's the word meaning of Ayurveda is it's a Sanskrit term. Sanskrit is a old Indian classical language. So most of our books are written in Sanskrit. And the word meaning of Ayurveda is Ayur means life and Veda means science. So it's more of a science of life or
Wow.
knowledge of life. Or we can say it's like a way of living which we need to follow uh, for a better health.
Mm.
Okay, so and yeah, that's the main explanation of main definition of Ayurveda, we can say. And when it comes to main aim of Ayurveda, uh, the main aim of Ayurvedic science is, again, I am going to tell a slogan, Sanskrit slogan, which
Yeah.
could be something which is very different for you. Then I'll
Hmm.
explain it in English for your
Yes, please.
better
Go
Yes.
for it.
understanding for
Go
the
for it.
people to understand this. So it's mentioned as the main aim is swastasya swastya rakshanam aturasya vikara prashamanam. So swastasya swastya rakshanam means to improve the health of a healthy person.
Okay.
Mm.
And aturasya vikara prashamanam means to treat the one with illness. So there are mainly two areas. First one is more of a preventive aspect, we can say, and second part is more of a curative aspect.
Hmm.
Okay,
Mm.
that's how we can say about this. So one is more based on health, and second one is more based on illness.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
These are
Mm-hmm.
the two main parts. When it comes to the health, the explanation of health given by Ayurveda, as per Ayurveda, the explanation of health is, again, I'm telling through a Sanskrit slogan. Slowly, I will come back to a
Yeah.
common with English.
Makes sense.
So, explanation of health as per Ayurveda is it's samadosha, samadhatu, samagni, malakriyaha, prasanna atma indriya manaha, swastya ityabhidiyate. So this samadosha, samadhatu, samagni, malakriya, all are the physical attributes. And prasanna, atma, indriya, mana, all are the mental attributes.
Mm.
So it's
Interesting.
like if all these physical attributes are set, and if all these mental attributes are set, if all these are having a harmonious interplay of all these things together is called as health. So health
Mm.
Mm.
is complete physical, mental, and spiritual well-being.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
like
why
that.
we are calling our science as a holistic science, more
Mm.
of
Okay.
a holistic approach towards health.
Yeah. I think when we met as well, I think that was one thing that really piqued my interest was the holistic approach to health,
Yes.
and the
Yes,
fact that you're treating healthy people as well as like the sick people.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think, I think in the West certainly there's a lot of resource and money put into Western medications,
Mhm.
but the holistic approach where you got the mental
Mm.
health and the spiritual health, and to actually get to the root cause of what might be causing the illness in the first place. I think that was quite a threat. I mean, for me, I'd never heard of Ayurveda before, so
Hmm.
hence we're
Mhm.
here, and I was just really intrigued. And then obviously I was able to have some treatments which we can touch on later. How did you get into Ayurveda? So you've been practicing for 14 years. What piqued your interest in did you have family members that are practicing, or please tell us a little bit about your story and what inspired you to actually, learn about the science.
Okay, not really. I don't have any family members who are practicing Ayurveda, to be honest with you. But the thing is that, as I told, Ayurveda is more of a way of living.
Mm.
Since
Okay.
childhood, we can see, like even our grandparents and all, they used to have, whenever something happens to the health, I mean, our ancient peoples, our own grandparents, they used to treat with some home remedies. I mean,
Mm.
they will not quickly run and go to the hospital, sort of things and all. And there are a lot of ways, wisdom which has been passed down from generations, which was followed by our own people, our own family members and peoples surrounding us. Uh, and then we had a science depending on this holistic approach. So, I don't remember exactly when I started having an idea of getting into the Ayurveda. But yeah, after a certain period, it was quite interesting that there is a medical science which is more of a natural healing process. Uh, and from a certain point of time, I started reading something related to this Ayurvedic concepts and all, and it was quite interesting. So applied for the exams, entrance CET, got a seat, joined to Ayurveda, and
Yeah.
continuing I mean, it's a very vast science, still learning.
Yeah,
There's a
Yes.
lot to. It's about everything related to life.
Mm, mm.
yeah,
Science
that's
of
really
love.
nice. Yeah, and I think I think as well, Dr. Ajith's approach. There is there is a place for the Western medicine, or whether you call it Western medicine or whether you call it just traditional medicine. I don't know how you want to describe it, but basically, you're recognizing that there is a place for traditional or drugs that most people will be familiar with, but it's then layering it with this holistic approach of Ayurveda, the certain treatments, and just it's a very different perspective. So I like the way you said
Mm.
it's a way of life.
Mm.
So it's almost about, even if you're healthy, you can still live in a healthy manner, and you can
Mm.
incorporate
Mm.
these other. I don't know whether we want to. Is there anything else that you want to get into before we kind of move into the practice of it? Is there anything else that you would like to explain as far as Ayurveda for folks that haven't been that are not aware of it?
Yes. So when you told about, I mean, going hand in hand with the modern medicines,
Modern
uh,
medicine. Okay, there you
yes,
go.
yes, yes. So it's like what I feel is like, as per Ayurveda, that's what. So since you came to this point, I'll try to explain about illness from Ayurvedic point of view. As per
Mm,
Ayurveda, the explanation of illness is like, illness is this is the core point which we have to understand. Illness is the end result of a long process which can be identified and addressed at any stage.
Mm.
So this is how illness or disease, the manifestation of disease, is explained. Illness or disease is the end process, end result of a long process which can be identified and rectified or addressed at any given stage.
Mm.
So, Ayurveda says about the wisdom, that inner wisdom we all should have to identify it at the earliest stage. The earlier we identify it, the easier it is to treat the condition.
Very
You
nice.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so once if you are if you uh, ignore that part, if you don't have that wisdom to identify your own inner self, if you are not able to identify that, then it manifests and then it reaches to a some illness which is very difficult to cure. So in the
Mm.
later stage, if you are finding out, obviously we have to go with all the modern medicines and all acute treatments and things like that we have to take. But Ayurveda always says about the how we will be able to identify it at the earliest stage. This is very important. Three doshas are three pillars of Ayurveda, the three main psychobiological constitution. It's called as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So all these three are body constitutions. Everybody will be having either Mr. James might be a Kapha Pitta, or Mr. Xander might be a Pitta Vada. So it's like everybody will have this combination of either Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. These are the biological constitution, or psychobiological constitution, we can say, or body
mm,
constitution. So, for a better understanding for common man, I can explain it through a Panchamahabhuta concept, the five elements of the universe. What are these Panchamahabhutas? First one is Prithvi, the earth. Second, up, water. Third, Tej is the fire. And fourth, Vayu is the air.
Mm.
And is Akash, or the space, or ether. So, how all this earth, air, fire, water, and the sky or space, how the balance of all these five elements are very important for the balance of the universe. Similar way, the three doshas have these five elements, this Panchamahabhuta elements in that. So Vata have air and energy, Pitta is the fire concept, and Kapha is the earth and water concept. So how these five elements are important for the balance of the universe? Similar way, these three doshas, the balance of these three body constitutions are very important for the for a healthy condition. If any imbalance or any vitiation happens to these, will lead to disease.
Mm.
So the science says like we are the microcosm of the macrocosm universe.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
always have to be in synergy with the universe. The universe has given everything for us. So we
Hmm.
have to really respect that. We have to be in synergy with the universe.
I like this
Just
a
for
lot.
example, yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
he would. It's funny because
Yeah.
when I met Dr. Ajith, I thought Xander's going to love this.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, it's important because for most people going through life, I think we can now get into actually understanding Ayurveda, because I love how we've just jumped right in and we're going at it, and it's amazing. So if I could bring it all together real quickly, it seems as though most people are going through life, and you just live life until you get ill. And when you get ill, you go see the doctor, and then they'll cure it for you, and then you go back, same routine, same thing again. You just go through life, wait until you get, but the rest of the world is just taking into account the one of the halves of Ayurveda, which is to treat the illness, um,
mm,
right, of a
mm,
sick person. But there's also improving the health of a healthy person. That's the other important part of it that you said, right? And that, I think, is what most people need to be conscious of, like you said, be aware of every day to reduce the chances of illness.
Yeah,
right,
and the
right.
only thing I'd add to that as well is
Yeah.
you mentioned it's a way of life. So for
Mm.
the healthy person, and actually, how can we apply some Ayurveda practices into our daily lives? So it's anyway, I thought I'd just add that piece because it's
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. We'll have a discussion on that part also. It's more about being consciously conscious,
Mm.
having
Oh,
that
yes.
awareness, observation, and understanding, basically.
Aware that you are aware.
Yes,
In a way.
yes, absolutely. Aware that you are aware. Huh?
Yeah.
So even when it comes to illness, I was telling that point of illness, no, like it's having different stages. So the first stage is accumulation. The doshas, I told the doshas, if it's balanced, that's a healthy state. If there is imbalance, then that leads to disease.
Yes.
So the accumulation of dosha happens in the first stage in certain sites of the body. Okay. So if that accumulation of dosha is not identified, then it leads to the next stage called as the aggravation. The
Mm.
second stage called as the aggravation stage. So it comes to the aggravation stage when, just for example, the kapha nature is more of that earth and water element.
Mm.
So a kapha person, if he is having, just for example, if he is having ice creams which are cold, it's cold and heavy, then that kapha dosha will again aggravate. So the kapha natured person who is having the imbalance of kapha or vitiation of kapha should have that awareness. He should not have something which will increase kapha. So he
Okay.
should have something like pepper or something which have that hot potency to balance
Okay.
that. So if the
Hmm.
caffeinated person, if you have ice cream, then it will increase, and then that's the second stage called as aggravation.
Mm.
And in the second stage also, if we don't identify the condition or the disease, then it leads to the next stage called as prasara or spread.
Mm.
So in the third stage, these accumulated toxins or doshas, after getting aggravated, it starts spreading through the bloodstreams to different parts of the body.
Mm.
And even in the third stage, if it's not identified, then reaches the next stage called as depositioning or infiltration. In Ayurveda, it's called as Thana Samsraya. It's like in that stage, it moves through the blood streams, as I told in the third stage. And in this next stage of infiltration, it goes and sits in the weakest point of the body.
Hmm.
So the weakest point of the body, it identifies that. The dosha, the toxins or the disease identifies the weakest target in the body, the easiest target in the body. So that part could be the part which got deteriorated due to our lifestyle. Just for example, I'll try to make you understand in simple way. If a person is a chain smoker, he always smokes, then lungs is a part, your lung
Mm.
is a part which is the weakest. So the dosha, the vitiated things in the body because of different reasons, if it's not identified, it goes and sits in that weakest part. If a person is alcoholic, then liver could be the weakest part. So it goes and start manifesting in liver. If somebody is having a lot of sugar, junk food, or whatever fried food and things like that, then pancreas could be the easiest target.
Mhm,
Mm.
mhm,
I
mhm.
hope you got it. So this is how. So the dosha goes and infiltrates in that part. After infiltration, then the next stage of manifestation, the real manifestation of disease happens, the fifth stage.
Right.
Even if in the manifestation stage, if you are not able to identify that, then it leads to the tissue destruction or cellular destruction or organ destruction, the final stage. It will be
Okay.
very difficult to reverse the condition.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's just for example, if a pitta vitiated person, if he having a little bit of gastritis feeling in the stomach, a little bit of burning sensation, it starts like that. Then he will slowly identify it as acidity.
Mm.
Then he will start feeling it as like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome sort of things and all. Still, if he is not able to identify there, it can lead to ulcers.
Mhm.
And even if it's not identified there, then it can lead to tumor, which could be benign or malignant kind of thing.
Yes, and which
So
by that
that's
point, most people, that's the point
when
most
most
people
people
will
go
go.
and see the doctor.
Yeah.
Yes. So we Ayurvedic, physicians or Ayurvedic Vaidyas, what Ayurvedic doctors do is like we make people to understand it in the
Mm.
earliest stage only.
Understood.
Okay. So
Yes.
could you so when you meet let's just say for your very first consultation with a human being,
Yes.
they're in, so could you talk about how you kind of identify what's your approach,
Mm.
because they could be at any one of these stages
Uh-huh.
potentially,
Uh-huh.
and maybe there's different levels and different diseases, and you called it dosha, different
Mm.
diseases potentially. One person could have more than one. But what is your approach to this person? How do you identify what to do with them? I know that's kind of a very broad question, and
Yeah.
it might be how long's a piece of string. But can you just talk about your process about how you approach
Mhm.
somebody, whether it's treating an illness or whether it's identifying how they could be healthier if they're healthy,
Mhm.
Yes.
if that makes sense.
So for that, like I can give a generalized answer because it's individualistic, like
Sure.
Vata, Pitta, Kapha, understanding the body constitution and all. But still, in general, how we the line of treatment in that our approach is through Trivida Pariksha, we call it as three types of examinations. So first one is by seeing the patient. I mean, by seeing their body language, their gait, their walking
Yeah.
style, and different things like that, we will be able to identify about them, like they could be of this body constitution. First, try
Okay.
to understand the body constitution, whether they are Vata type, Pitta type, or Kapha type. Then we will try to understand which dosha is vitiated in them out of these. Okay, in the Trivida Pariksha, I told first is by darshana, that's by seeing a patient. Second is by sparshana. Sparshana is by touching the nadi, the pulse diagnosis.
Mm.
So pulse diagnosis is one of the main areas of Ayurveda where a good doctor will be able to identify, which dosha is vitiated through the pulse examination.
Mm.
Really?
Yes,
Wow. Is it
yes.
just one pulse point, or is it different pulse points, or?
No, we usually do it in the hands,
Okay.
basically. But it's a, it won't be very like legitimate for me to just explain it in superficial peripheral way. It's a deep thing.
Mm.
Um, so that is one of the main method of identifying. And third is again the main area, that is darshana is done, sparshana is done. Third is prashna. Prashna is by asking lot of questions,
Yeah.
question related to everything. We just
Yeah.
have to allow the patient to express themselves
Yeah.
without them feeling being judged. So
Mm.
we have to listen, not to talk, listen to understand, and listen to listen. That's how
I love it.
that's how
I love it.
that's how I approach
Very
the
good.
patient when somebody comes. We just allow them to express, tell about everything related to their health,
Mhm.
whether it is physical health, whether it is mental health. So by that, we will understand their health history and everything related to the past histories. So that's how we try to identify
Mhm.
the. And now, when it comes to treatment in Ayurveda, there are mainly two areas which we aim at, focus at while doing the treatment. So one is the gut, and second one is the mind. Yeah, I
You said the
heard
gut.
one.
The gut. You said the
Yeah,
gut.
the gut.
Okay, the
Yeah,
gut and the
the
mind.
gut
Okay,
and the mind. So these are the
yeah.
Okay.
two
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Two
So
minds. Gut
I
instinct.
yeah. So
The conception that people have of when you get an illness, let's say, yeah, okay, they've gotten lung cancer because they smoke a lot of cigarettes, or they have pancreatic cancer because they eat a lot of junk food, or liver cancer because they drink a lot of alcohol. But again, yeah, tell me if I'm wrong. What you're saying is sort of the illness starts to come because you've
mhm.
started those actions that are not healthy, but it's not that you got lung cancer because you smoked cigarettes, for example. It's because the illness has come in and it's chosen to um, go straight to the weakest point, which, for example, is the lungs of a smoker. I would like to just kind of clear that up. Is that correct?
Yes, what I'm saying is like it's not like that illness comes just because you do those sort of things and all.
Mm,
There could be various reasons for the starting of the toxins or doshas to take inside our body. But
mm-hmm,
since then also, if we don't correct our lifestyle or things like that, at least by that point of time, we should be mindful and we should, I mean,
yeah,
get better
yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
If then also if that doesn't happen, once the dosha starts spreading in the body, it will start finding the easiest targets,
Mm, mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
easiest point to get in
Get a
and manage.
hold.
Understood, understood. Cool.
So
And then, yeah.
it's always better to have a really good lifestyle, or you can start even a bit later. Better
Mhm.
late than never. That's the concept.
Yeah,
So at
yeah,
least we have to have
yeah.
that understanding, and then I'll clear your point once more through the mind and gut thing. So it's like I heard one of the doctors saying the the mind and gut are two long lost friends, and they both are fed up with the crap we are ingesting on a day-to-day basis, or the toxins
Yeah,
which we
yeah.
are ingesting on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm,
So it makes sense. Like on a
Hmm.
daily basis, we are exposed to lot of toxins, lot of things which are, I mean, which are not good for our system. We are exposed to all environmental pollutions, air pollutions, all
mm,
unhygienic food, fast food, fried,
yeah,
oily things, and it can have a very bad impact on our digestive system,
mm,
basically. And similarly, we are having this fast competitive life, which puts a hell lot of stress on a day-to-day basis, which can have a bad impact on our emotional health or the
yes,
mental health also.
Yeah,
mm,
what we feed our minds too.
yep,
You know,
Yes, yes,
even
yes,
the fast-paced tech world with
mhm,
people on their phones and the social media, and
mm,
yeah,
this is all
yes,
mind food, right? So whatever you put in your mind, it
yes,
mhm,
can be crap, like you said. So it's what you put in your mouth, which goes to your gut, and then what
yes,
you consume,
yeah,
and you can control those things if you're disciplined and if you're
sure,
aware of them. You know,
yeah,
like you said, the first thing is actually bringing awareness to your patient
awareness.
that
Yes,
actually this
yes,
this might be something they need to kind of be aware of, because I think a lot
mm,
of people walk through life as a zombie, for lack of a better expression. They're just, going through the motions, maybe not paying attention to what they're consuming
yes,
physically,
yes,
but also what they're consuming mentally. And I guess
yes,
the
yes,
spiritual piece is another thing which I don't know whether
yeah,
you want to touch on that
mhm,
piece
mhm,
as well,
yeah.
but
That's true. People know everything outside, but they don't know themselves. That's what
mm,
it's.
Hmm.
at all. We have
Yeah,
idea about the whole lot of things externally, but we don't find time to look internally.
that's
Uh,
true. Yeah, and it seems as
that
though it requires this process requires us to be open with the doctor about what we're consuming, not just physically, but as you said, James, also mentally. And there's so
yeah,
many different factors that comes into play with a person's health. But it seems as though maybe for the longest time we've been taught to maybe not be open or to not share those kinds of things. But now we're moving into an age where it's encouraged to speak out about our experiences
yeah,
and what we're going through
exactly.
and what we're consuming and all of this. And I wouldn't even say that it's so much younger people, even I'd say all of all ages. We're collectively becoming more comfortable with just saying what we're experiencing and what we think is making us ill and sick,
Mm.
and what we think should change in order to bring us a healthier life. And so that's why I think Ayurveda is probably on a rise, and why it's important for us to be talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yes, exactly. You told one point which is very important, like expressing ourselves. There should be somebody where either it could be a physician, a counselor, or a good friend, where we should be able to express ourselves, who doesn't judge us. Because there
Mhm.
is a book by Dr. Gabor Mate about the myth of normal. In that, it's
Yeah.
clearly explained the suppression of emotions, and suppression is one of the
Mhm.
any sort of suppression of emotions can lead to physical illness, also the manifestation of
Mhm.
illness, which has been told in Ayurveda long back. We have this PNEI axis, the psycho neuro endocrino immunological axis. It's like in psych, we say it through three gunas, sattva, raja, tama. So if there is anything related to the psych, then it can have an impact on the neurological aspect. We
Mhm.
consider vata as the main area for the neurological aspect. That can have an impact on the endocrinological aspect, where the pitta comes to play. That can have an impact on the immunological aspect, where the kapha comes to play. So any psychic related things can have a
Mhm.
manifest physical illness. That's what
Mhm.
even in today's time, even the famous Dr. Gabor Mate has,
Yes.
written this book
Yeah.
also.
Yeah. Big
So
fan.
certain suppression of certain things can have. I mean, it will be stored in the subconscious mind. Subconscious
Yeah.
mind have these three R's. It's like record, retain, and recall,
Okay.
and it comes out in the form of physical illness. Most of the autoimmune conditions could be the result of the suppression of uh, emotions, which could be the childhood trauma or any of the previous experiences. That's what I mean. Nowadays, these kind of things are coming up.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
really interesting. You mentioned the myth of normal because I think I think you recommended that book when I was in Jaipur, but I was recently recommended the book by somebody else, and I just read Scattered Mind by Gabor Mate as well.
Oh, okay.
It's about ADHD or ADD, and
Right, right, right.
I learned a lot about myself in the process. But it's called Scattered Mind. It's another good book.
Ah, so that's the book you were telling me to. Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's the same author.
it's
So the
from
myth
him.
of normal
Okay,
is the same as Scattered Mind.
got it.
Uh, so where were we? So we were just
Sort of transitioning now into I guess the Ayurveda's approach to mental health and
how that
Yeah,
affects physical health. So it's
yeah,
a basically a direct link,
mhm,
as we just touched on, which is it's interesting. But it does come again. It comes down to this awareness, how
yeah,
we're living our lives. I think actually what did strike me
mm,
when actually had a consultation with Dr. Ajith, and this is where we kind of bonded a bit.
yeah,
Um, I went. I was just one of the massage, and it there was and Dr. Ajith runs a wellness clinic at the Royal Heritage
mhm,
Havelia, and I was again taken aback by the time that Dr. Ajith spent with me to really kind of understand me. Before it wasn't just like I said, oh, well, I want a head massage and I want this. It was actually a very measured, low key.
Hmm.
approach, and I thought it was really nice, and
Mm.
explaining the holistic approach to wellness. So I think we all need to slow down a bit, don't we, and just be aware of
Yeah.
what we want, and what we need.
Yes, we'll get to the mental health.
Yeah.
So the thing is that when I told about Ayurveda, I told mainly about the gut and the mind, these two areas.
Hmm.
So about as far as gut is concerned, for detoxification of gut, we have a separate area called as Panchakarma. So Panchakarma is 5 types of cleansing of the system. The 5 methods of 5 ways of cleaning the system. That is Panchakarma. Starting with the Vamana, the first one, by introduction of medicine which induces vomiting. Second one is
Yeah. I
purgation.
think I had that one.
The third one is natural enema, Vasti. Fourth one is Nasyam, administration of medicine through the nasal route for any respiratory or upper clavicular problems. And fifth one is Raktamokshana, the bloodletting therapy. So once we do the detoxification is done as per the body constitution, seeing
Mm.
the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, vitiation and all. So once the cleansing is done, then when you start having the internal medicines, the assimilative power of the system will be really good. The absorptive power is really good in our body. It's more like formatting a computer or servicing a car. Once it
Uh,
is done, the performance is really good. Same way, our body starts accepting the things really well, whatever medicines we are giving after the cleansing.
mhm,
So that's a
mm,
detoxification
mhm.
therapy. That's what is one answer to Xander's question before. You asked about different people having different, I mean, maybe some smokers or whoever. So once you do the detoxification panchakarma therapy, it helps
Mm.
the body to clear most of the things, the toxins and all. It types of cleanses
Yeah.
from the root. Then they always have the second chance to, I mean,
Mm.
practice a lifestyle basically. So
Yeah,
that
got it.
also is given in Ayurveda through the
Mm.
Panchakarma therapies actually. Okay.
Okay.
Now so that's how now we covered the gut part mainly because as per gut is very important. As per Ayurveda, if your gut health is fine, then 80% of your health is done.
Mm.
Okay. Now we can, I think, get into the main topic of mental health and Ayurvedic perspective also.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
please. That sounds good.
Yes. Now, once it comes to the mental health, as per Ayurveda, so I'll again go back to that slogan of explanation of health. It's a complete physical, mental, and spiritual well-being.
Mhm.
It's a holistic approach. And today you can see the World Health Organization's explanation of health is a complete health is a complete physical, mental, and social well-being. It's not mere absence of disease or infirmity. So there also it's more of a holistic approach only. There it is told about social well-being. In Ayurveda, years back, our ancient scholars told about the spiritual well-being. And what's my take is like, if you are spiritually aware, then you are socially fit.
Mm.
So
Okay. Okay. Okay.
this
Clever.
is how we have to
Yeah, that's good.
understand. I mean, this is the wisdom we
Yeah.
have to use. In.
I love how just in itself, like I can already imagine, yeah, most people, even me, you think healthy, being healthy is, yeah, the absence of illness, but that's not
Mm.
it's not
Yes, yes,
just that. It's
yeah,
actually being healthy, the
yes,
absence of illness should be, somewhere far away. We should actually be trying to get healthier and healthier all the time.
yes, 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 yes. Yes,
Mm.
that's the key point. I mean, that should be the takeaway. I mean, I'm just trying to explain it's
Yeah.
not just absence of illness that we have to understand. So for
Hmm.
that, I mean, for that, when we tell about the mental health as per Ayurveda, like the concept is like the body and mind is a continuum. It's more of a continuum concept.
Yeah.
uh, it's like dark and light or hot and cold. It's more
Mm-hmm.
of a continuum. We can't separate one from another.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And it's explained in our science in a there's a beautiful metaphor of a ghee pot concept, a ghee pot metaphor. It's like if you take a normal pot and if you put hot ghee in that, you know the ghee, G
Yep,
H
yep.
E, the ghee.
Clarified butter. Yep.
Yes, 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 the butter. So if you take a normal pot, normal vessel, and if you put hot ghee in that, the vessel gets heated.
Mm.
Similar way, if you take a hot vessel and if you put the normal ghee in that, the ghee gets heated. So
Yes,
that's
correct.
how the body and mind are connected. This is told by our ancient scholars through slogan about that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a the body and mind is a continuum. Without tapping one, we can't treat the other. So if a patient comes to me, if he tells about his physical problem, I'll try to understand his the mental aspect also.
Mm.
It could be related to that. So and vice versa. So we try to
Yeah.
understand everything holistically, and then only the treatments are started usually. So
Mm.
this
Mm.
thing mainly we have to focus. And when we tell about this body mind continuum and physical and mental aspects, unfortunately, we are not well equipped with the mental health perspective when it comes to mental health perspective.
We're
With
not.
the
Sorry, say that again. We're not what?
we are not well equipped or well
Oh,
aware.
well
We don't
equipped.
have
Okay.
that awareness about the mental health. We
Yeah.
always take it for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to physical health, we are having all these sophisticated machines such as X-rays, ultrasounds, all these CT scans, all blood and
Yeah.
urine tests, so on and so forth. But once it comes to the mental health, we always ignore that part.
Mm.
And as told even today by different doctors and all, it can manifest in the form of physical health also. And even now, mental health experts have given um, I mean, warning sort of thing like the mental health crisis is on its way. So be prepared. Even
Mm.
WHO is seconding that actually after the pandemic. There are a lot.
Mm.
So this awareness about the mental health is very important.
It'd
That's
be
very true.
interesting to know whether, as you described the different stages of disease in the physical body, I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if there's different stages, or in fact, are you aware of any different stages in the mental health? Because it
Yeah.
might be a similar layers of manifestation or infiltration in the
Mhm.
mental as in the physical. Can you comment? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. So in mental health, yes, I have a thought which is like it's about how people understand that. It's more like when we are telling the body and mind is a continuum. There is one more thing which is very important. We have to understand the uh, body mind alignment. It should be a
Mm.
healthy give and take, basically. Okay. So in
Mm.
most of the cases, the body and mind are misaligned. That's what
Hmm.
we are not understanding. I mean, it's like the
Yes.
farthest distance is between our body and mind that we are not aware in today's time. For that, the mindfulness practices are very important. I mean, I'm even answering Mr. James' question also. It's like with mental health, the idea, understanding should be in a bit different way. It's like just for example, I'll tell you for this body mind alignment. I'll give a simple example of mindful eating. So, what is mindful eating? We have to understand that, like hypothetically, if it just you are presented with a very uh, nice food which is very delicious, which is soothing to your eyes, and it's having great aroma, which
Mm.
you have tasted it before actually. You experienced that before, and it's tempting to your palate to have that, but your body is saying that when you had the same food before, it had a bad impact on your system.
Mm.
Okay, so most of the time we have to understand. I told a healthy give and take between the body and mind. Usually
Yeah.
we have to understand the body says the truth. This is one of the key thing which we have to understand. The body always tells the truth. The mind gets motivated, mind gets influenced, mind gets inspired, mind wandering happens. There are a
Yeah.
lot of thoughts coming and going kind of things and all.
Yeah.
But the body tells the truth. So the body tells you that, uh, James, don't go for that because the last time when you had that, it had a bad impact on your whole system. But your body and mind are not well aligned. So whatever the information passed by the body is not getting connected with the mind. So you
Hmm.
go with that. You go with that dopamine. This thing you go and have that food, and you have to pay the consequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this understanding of that alignment is the first thing we have to have.
That's
For
very
these
interesting.
things, we have to practice lot of mindfulness practices.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this in our case, most of us are aware, like whichever food we are seeing, I mean, somehow with the practices, we know that, okay, this can have a bad impact on our system. So don't go with that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So that is
Hmm.
like mental health is also a daily practice.
It made me think of one thing that I've realized more recently, and maybe you can share your thoughts from your understanding. But we all know how strong the mind is, how it can affect the body and stuff like that. But as you say that, I remember how I used to be able to eat things that I knew were bad for me, and it wouldn't have much of an impact. Yes, maybe I feel a little bit sick or
Mhm,
whatever, but my mind is so strong that I'm like thinking, oh, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. So I actually don't feel that sick and I can carry on
mhm,
eating. But now, as I've grown up and become more self aware and aware of how things influence me and everything that I
mhm,
consume affects me, I, I can't escape it. I can't get past it. If there's something that I know, let's say, for example, this is an actual example, the chicken
mhm,
shop down my road here. Chicken
mhm,
shops are very, very popular in London. They're
mhm,
everywhere, and I love it, obviously.
mhm, mhm.
But uh,
Right.
the more I've eaten it, I've realized, oh, I feel kind of sick, and it's probably because it's really oily and it's fried and it's blah blah blah. But
Uh,
compared to now, compared to before, I can really, really feel the difference just because I'm thinking about it and I'm aware of it and I know it. And then the
mhm,
next day, I'm very sick compared to before. And this is the
mhm,
same shop and the same place, and I'm the same person, and but it's just my awareness of it drastically has changed how my body affects it. And so that makes me think, all the folk and all of us walking around life, going around and eating things that we know we shouldn't, or doing things we know we shouldn't, or not doing
mhm.
things that we should, and
Yeah,
what
right, right, right.
and now
Right.
it's just becoming a little bit more apparent, like, okay, it makes a little bit more sense why we're all a little bit,
Got
sick,
it.
getting sick in
Yeah.
a way. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, now kind of you started more listening to the body somehow. Like
Yeah.
as we go old with our experience, no, we slowly
Yeah.
get
And
into.
I can't cheat myself now that I know it. It's
Yeah,
yeah.
so that's I mean that's a way of being mindful. Maybe I mean through different ways of
Yeah.
reading things like that. No, all these universal consciousness is
Hmm.
helping
Hmm.
us. All these things we can say.
Yes.
You'll
Yeah.
have to check. There might be another fried chicken shop that has different ingredients, so you might still be able to eat fried chicken, but it
Yeah,
might
that's
not
the
be
thing.
from that shop. Something
Yeah.
I shared with Xander earlier is I'm reading a book right now called Osho. It's called the joy of living dangerously is the subtitle. It's the title, and it was talking about the difference between East and West, and also the pros and cons of the two different kind of societies. What the meditation piece in
Mhm.
particular, it was talking about how it's obviously it's a very important part of wellness, but because you're connecting with yourself in a really deep way. But if you don't have, and then of course the West is all about let's just go and do everything. So whether it's love, sex, whatever, everyone's
Mhm.
kind of going for it, but that's very unfulfilling and not healthy when you're not connected with yourself. So in a perfect world, this author describes how, you know, you want a bit of both. You want to be connected to yourself, as in meditation is very important spiritually and mentally, just to kind of give yourself that awareness and that time to connect. And I'm, as I mentioned, Dr. Ajith, I'm relatively new to meditation, but it's really changed my life in the last 14, 15 months or so. But you kind of need a balance. You need the kind of you need to connect with yourself, but you also need people. And if you
Yes,
do
yes,
too
yes.
much of meditation, then you don't even connect with anyone because you've kind of got everything for yourself. But actually, happiness and wellness is, it does include connecting with other human beings.
Yes.
Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because it was something I read this morning, and I thought it was an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Can you comment about the meditation? Because I guess that spirit is mental, but it's obviously spiritual wellness. And
Mm.
can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, yes. So when it comes to the point you told, no, it's better the pendulum should not swung to the other end also. It should be in the center. We should be well centered in both ways. That's
Mm,
the main. Uh, uh, we should not go to any of these extremes. I mean,
yeah,
we have to be idealistic and we have to be pragmatic. How I don't know how to
yeah.
articulate
It's a
it well.
holistic, isn't it? It's a
That's a good
Yes,
way
holistic
of putting
approach,
it.
isn't
it
it?
should be holistic, a well-centered way of understanding the thing. Centrism is the main thing. I think I believe in that.
Yeah.
And when you, when you told about the previous point, I'll quickly get into again. And some thoughts are coming into my mind. When you told about the mental health, I mean, how we will be able to identify whether our emotional health is in a good state, kind of things, no? It's like basically if we are kind of reacting to any given situation instead of properly responding to that situation, then we have to have a check on our mental health. If our nervous system is always in that flight and fight mode,
Mm-hmm.
then we have to have a check on our mental health basically.
Mm.
Mm.
Mhm.
If our ego is so fragile that a gesture from a small kid can make us frustrated, irritated, or disturbed, then we have to, I mean, deeply go
Yeah.
inward, have a check on our mental health.
It's proof in
Mm.
itself that you need work. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think your comment about responding versus reacting,
Yes, yes.
but even being aware of, I think one thing that meditation's done for me, as an example, is that I am more in the present moment and more self-aware. So I might see something, I might feel triggered, but I'm actually aware that I've actually got an emotional reaction to an event, a person or an event or something, and then being
Mm.
able to respond and not lose my shit or whatever it is,
Mm.
or make a rash decision. So I think that's really key, and I think that's one of the that is actually one of the benefits of actually connecting with yourself, because you
Mm.
are aware,
Yes.
but it takes time, doesn't it, to actually become self-aware and to live kind of our authentic selves. It
Mm.
takes time understanding ourselves, because quite often it takes years. I mean, in my case, it takes
Yes.
years, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface with my own knowing
Good
myself.
point.
So
Mm.
like you said earlier, you can start anytime. You're never too old to start. I mean, I'm 48 years old, and I took up meditation, at 47, and it's just like, wow. It's like,
Yes, 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 it is. The thing is that we all are obligated to better ourselves, being human beings. And the thing is that in that thing, we have to understand things through the evolutionary perspective also.
Mm.
Like we have to understand that after all, when the reality is knocking the door, we have to understand that we all came from ape-like ancestors. So in those times, it was like, our ancestors, the primates in those times, uh, anybody comes in front are predators or enemies whom we want to kill. It was a survival instinct, basically.
Mm.
So the brain memory is still there even after, generations have
Mhm.
passed. That thing is there in the base of the brain, which is very strong.
Mm. Fight or
That's why
flight.
we have this. instinct basically.
Mm.
Yeah.
So animals have this instinct. Human animals are having more 80% of instinctive things. Human beings, all of us have this instinct. For that, we have to understand from the human origin or human evolution perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that time, anyone who comes in front of us, we sort of think them as enemy. We wanted to kill for
Yeah.
our
Or run away.
yes. And today also we have that strong instinct. Anybody comes in front of us, we first try to judge them because
Yeah.
that layer is always there. So we say that don't judge a book, I mean, by its cover, but still, whoever we see in front, we have that initial instinct of judging, and many areas we have these instinctive reactions.
Mm.
So from that instinct, how as per the evolution, we have developed lot of intelligence also. So how we can use all this intelligence along with this instinctive thing for the goodwill of self and others is what all these mindfulness practices and meditations teach. It helps us to slow down a bit, look into yourself, sort of things and all. So we have to understand it through that way. Human beings are designed in such a way that we have that instinct, but we, from any other animals, we are obligated to better ourselves. So we have to
Mm-hmm.
find a
Mm-hmm.
way of, understanding our red flags or
Yeah.
understanding our shortcomings and
Yeah.
really working on that. So these
Yeah.
are the
That's,
things
yeah.
which are all told by mindfulness, meditation, and also meditation teaches nothing like nothing which is very magical or something like that.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's understanding the day-to-day life thing. I mean, in this fast-moving world, no?
Yeah.
It, yeah.
And, and actually, it actually just another thought, just to kind of add to what you're saying. I think it's true that 99% of everything we are fearful of or worry about that might trigger this fight or flight, chimp brain, or whatever you want to call it. That it never happens. So there might be 10% that
Mm-hmm.
we should really be fearful of. For example, if we're in the middle of a road and a truck's coming, we need to jump out the way.
Need to, yeah.
But
Yeah.
being connected and self-aware, the 90% that is never going to happen and might cause our cortisol levels to rise, we're fearful, we're stressed. By
Mm.
connecting with ourselves, we realize we are actually in a position to respond, or to kind
Hmm.
of just be aware that we're feeling a certain way, but actually realize that actually that's not going to happen. And I think
Mm.
a lot of folks live in the state of fear, and like you mentioned, the fight or flight state of mind. So it's very, very
Hmm.
high stress, when
Hmm.
it's only really 10% of the fears I need to worry about. So
Hmm.
you still need to react to certain things, otherwise you're going to be killed if a
Yes.
truck hits
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But most of what you worry about will never happen. So
Yeah.
again, it leads to that time to self-reflect and be connected with
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. In today's time, I mean, we have to understand that 90% of the time it's not like what it was there for our ancestors. So it's all about understanding that it's about that amygdala in the brain. That part, activation of amygdala, is what it
Yeah.
is.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, so in the
Yeah.
old times it was there for. I mean, we had to fear a tiger is coming, and today's time, I mean, when there is a tweet, we are afraid whether it is against us. In the old,
Yeah. Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
against tiger, and in today it's just about a small tweet
Mm,
in the
mm,
Twitter.
mm, mm.
That's how
Yeah.
it is.
In order to not do that, or to, yeah, basically achieve that level of self mastery, I'll say it takes work, right? It's
Mhm.
work. And before we move into sort of practices and rituals that we could give to people so that they can start incorporating it, was there anything else that you would like to bring up to do with the mental health side?
I think we have covered most of the part, but one thing I would say is like and today society plays a big role in mental health issues is what I mean what I'm understanding like uh, the the society itself and the social media and all no, it's like
Mm,
there's a lot of pressure which is loaded on individuals
Mm.
basically. It's like how I can articulate it. The expected reality and the experiencing reality. There is a gap in between,
Yeah.
That's good.
and to overcome the gap, we are compromising on our mental health.
Yeah.
Today, there is no stop cues in the social media. So there are a lot of motivational talks, and every stories are success stories, which are getting highlighted. So
Mm.
it's like we have to understand that all school dropouts or college dropouts can't be a Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
All app makers can't be an Amazon. All app can't be an Amazon app. So
Yeah.
all these things we are not understanding. There will be hundreds and thousands of Steve Jobs who are failed,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not getting highlighted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's not coming into limelight. So
Yeah.
mostly the focus is mainly getting into being successful, being popular, than being good, being healthy, being
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that area is not more of us are in that competitive world of reaching first. We have to understand that all can't reach first. So it's like we have to get into our bodily autonomy. We have to try to
Mm.
understand, I mean, our strength and weakness sort of things and all, which like there should be I always believe that there should be a word for the failed
Mm.
to comfort the afflicted. So that part, no, that empathy and that part, that compassion, empathy, and that area is
Yeah.
think most of the time everyone tells about the stories of successful people, but there will be people who are not, I mean, well equipped in different ways to reach there. So they will always have that pressure. The social pressure will be there for them, and most of the people are confused with the needs and wants actually.
It kind of goes back into what I was saying just now. That we in today's society, no one really wants to then put in the work to work on ourselves like that, to work on our mental health and our physical
Yes,
health like that.
yes,
We want it
yes,
nice and easy and nice and quick. I want it
yes,
here and
yes,
now, and
yes,
so yeah. I mean, so what are some things that some
yes,
easier
interesting.
things that people can start incorporating into their lives to help them with this journey?
It's more of a dump dopamine culture instead of that drip dopamine. Old earlier times there were like TV serials which will come once in a week, and today we have web series which is like
Yeah.
continuous. Anytime you can have that dopamine reward
Yeah,
continuously getting.
it's true.
So yeah, yeah this I mean social media and humanly dysfunctional society plays a big role in this actually.
So detox, social media detox. I'm sure that would be
Yes, yes,
that's
yes.
one of
Social
them.
media detox, many of the things. I mean, we have to understand that the social media also everyone. I mean, the strategy is like it touches on our area of inferiority complex mostly. The consumeristic capitalistic society have that strategy of touching on that area, so
Mhm.
everything is glorified, but the reality won't be that, and the poor person who is seeing that will be thinking that, oh, everyone are having such a glamorous life and I am
Mm,
the one who is
mm,
having such a bad thing. So these things are uh, to be understood by individuals, and it's like no need to be a Steve, no need to reach first. You have to understand your, I mean, strength and weaknesses, and accordingly you have to reach to a certain level. That's good enough. Be content,
mm.
have contentment. So mindfulness practices. Now we can come to the, I mean, mindfulness practices and all. It's all about understanding ourselves, and I mean having that satiety. So in mindfulness practices, what Mr. James knows that what we do here mainly is one walking meditation. That's a meditation for beginners which we practice here. So
Mhm.
in that the main concept is it's more of a gratitude meditation. It's about making people understand that uh, a, at times we have to slow down a bit, we have to change the gear, we have to understand that I mean we have to start counting our blessings. it's
Yeah.
it's more about gratitude meditation,
Yeah.
because
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
human beings never gets that satiety or contentment. We always need more, more, more.
Yeah.
until we are over, we will be in that this thing only. But sometimes it's better to slow down, have a be thankful to the universe, be in synergy with that, and start counting our blessings. So when we do the walking meditation, in each step we guide the guest, saying that like, you start counting your blessing, you are able to walk. There are many people in the hospital bed, let leave walking, they are not able to
Mm,
get up. So we
I
have
like
to start understanding these things, these are aspects also.
that.
So
That's a nice
otherwise, this
one.
can take, yeah, this can take a toll on our emotional system also. So
Okay.
this is one area. So when we say about the treatment therapy things and all, no, what we follow mainly is all these mindfulness practices. Different types of mindfulness practices are there, which we sort of following here.
Mm,
In that
mhm.
mainly we do the walking meditation.
Okay.
So walking
Yeah.
meditation is one thing which is like we have to find it's meditation for beginners. It's very easy. We have to only find a space which is conductive, and you don't need any other equipment, or I mean yoga mat or utensils, any other things. You have to
Hmm.
just barefoot as slow as possible. Start counting your blessings. Start looking inwards, sort of things.
Hmm.
And so,
Very nice.
meditation or mindfulness is to be in the present instead of
Hmm.
overthinking about the past or the future. Try
Yeah.
to be in the present. Whatever thoughts you are getting, be thoughtful about you. Be watchful about your thoughts. So
Mm.
slowly,
Poetry
you
thought.
will start getting about getting that awareness. Okay, this is
Hmm.
what actual me is.
Hmm. Hmm. Very
So this
nice.
is one thing which we are practice. Any meditation process will be the similar way. It will be mainly focusing on the breathing, basically, because we have two systems. This is the one thing which we have to understand. When we told about that, when Zan, I think James told about that thing where that instinct which we told, no, like in certain places we have to have that alertness or awareness sort of things and all.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
all about modulation of thoughts and modulation of things. So
Hmm.
telling the two systems, the uh, the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So these are the main two systems. Uh, so by breathing, it activates the vagus nerve, the largest nerve in the body. So by that, the modulation of things happens from the sympathetic nervous system is of that flight, fight, and freeze mode, flight, fight, and freeze mode.
Mm.
Whereas the parasympathetic nervous system is more of rest and digest mode, relax and digest
Okay.
mode.
Okay.
So by
Nice.
breathing directly connects with the brainstem, and breathing helps to activate this vagus nerve, which kind of modulates this system. And if it is in the sympathetic mode, it activates the parasympathetic one.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So
Amazing, isn't it?
always all this walking meditation and all these things are connected with breathing also. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
focus, the base is the breathing techniques.
Yeah. Yeah. For especially for younger people, I can speak on behalf of them that
Yes.
um
Yes.
you know, even just going to college, uni, going to work or whatever it is, even on a nice sunny day like this,
Hmm.
walking, coming home myself, I can see a lot of people, they've got their earphones in, they've got their phone out, you're looking
Hmm.
down like this, and it's most of the time that's just
Hmm.
how it is nowadays when
Sorry, we are more and more technologically developed, but we have this less and less of human understanding.
yes, yes.
That's
And
how
because
it
of
is.
that, it creates a lot of these, illnesses and unhappiness and stuff like that. And then so it
Hmm.
comes back around because then the new age or the new more recent advice for that is meditate. Do this. You don't need medicine. You can meditate and blah, blah, blah. But then people find out, okay, how do I meditate? Oh, I have to sit down and close my eyes for an hour and I have to just do nothing for an hour and watch my thoughts. And most people don't want to do that. But your advice, what you've given, is a very nice. It's a good, ritual or practice to do instead of going on your phone and putting your earphones in when you're off to work or off to school. Just
Mm.
that tiny little part of your day to just swap it out for a walking meditation, which
Yes,
is really just walking
yes.
and being present, practicing just listing what you're grateful for, um,
Mm.
you're being aware of how your body feels or your emotions that are coming up or physically stuff like that.
Your thoughts.
It's so easy. Yeah, exactly. It's that is it's a good suggestion, just something so easy to swap out like that for 20 minutes in your day or whatever it is.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah,
And
it
if you
can
have a
be a
place,
daily
and
practice. Sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
no, I was just saying, if you have a place where you can take your shoes off and have bare feet, on the grass, or like you said, connecting with the
Even
earth, and that's even better.
Yeah.
But
way better. Yeah.
a lot of people, might not have that luxury. But I think even just having the intention to start
Yeah.
as part of their day, um, and reflect, it's
Mhm.
something that is definitely practical.
Sorry, small thing is about breathing. Anybody can practice. Just start focusing on the breathing. Just be
Got it.
mindful about your breathing. When you are stressed, you will know that the breathing pattern is different.
Mhm. Mhm.
Be mindful of that, and slowly, things will get better. It's one
Yeah.
of these and the
Even if,
thing
yeah,
for the beginners, we can say.
even if you're at your desk, you can still breathe and just be
Yeah.
aware. Yes, deep breaths.
One thing is there's a four square breathing, but the simplest thing is that whenever you do that, it's always what I found is like I tried practicing different things, but what is more effective I felt is like uh, have your exhalation little longer than your inhalation. In the
Yeah.
initial
Yeah. Yeah.
stage,
Yeah.
that helps a lot. You can that's what I my practices, my experiences helped me have a bit longer of exhalation than your
Okay.
inhalation. So
Amazing.
that is one thing, simple thing which we can always inculcate in our practices, breathing
Love it.
practices, sort things. And there are a lot of other therapies for mental health and all, which I don't think it will be the right thing for me to explain in detail about those things. But in today's time, there are a lot of ways of getting into. If the mindfulness practices or meditation things and all, if it doesn't helps, then there are like many therapies like somatic therapy is there,
Yeah.
CBT is there, cognitive behavior therapy is there.
Mm.
Even there is one more EMDR, like eye
Oh
movement
yes.
desensitization and reprocessing. Yeah, and
Yeah.
schema
EMDR.
therapy. Yeah. So
Yeah.
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 main thing is that I don't want to go in deep into that. The experts are. I know basic things about this only. There are
Yeah.
different. Experts who are really studied about all these things and all. But the basic general understanding about all these therapies is like they all try to tap on the subconscious mind.
Mm.
Mm.
They
Yeah.
all try to focus on the subconscious mind because everything is, as I told about the 3R, everything is like recorded, retained, and it can recall in some unhealthy situation. So
Yeah.
that thing is stored there. So it's like going into the subconscious mind, taking that journey. All are like creating that experience of getting into that subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
healing, inner child healing will happen in that way, basically.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
mostly subconscious mind doesn't have language. So that's why all this experience, it's happening through emotions, imagery, and experiences. So
Mm.
Yeah.
that's how most of the therapies work, basically.
It's almost
Mm.
like you're becoming grounded, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's almost like yeah, you're getting your power. You're regrouping, almost resetting yourself, and then
Yes,
you get
Yeah.
yes,
strength from within, and that's where
from
you're going to
within.
be. It's
Yes,
happy, or just a good, secure. It's almost like, yeah,
Self reboot.
by healing the trauma is main thing. There will be
Yeah.
many unhealed traumas which can trigger us, and we human beings have this nature of ruminating,
Mhm.
chewing again
Mhm.
and again, overthinking
Yeah.
and getting
Yeah.
the keep things back in our, I mean,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
it's been an absolutely fascinating conversation. We've been going for an hour and 22 minutes, so it's probably
Oh,
we're over our hour, but it's been absolutely fascinating. Is there any parting wisdom that you wanted to leave our listeners with?
yeah, the main thing I was telling is like the society should have this awareness of reducing the load on individuals. Whether let it be, I mean, it starts from all
Hmm.
individuals who
Hmm.
have the knowledge. No, they should start spreading this awareness about mental health and all. And at the same time, I mean, the society itself have this narcissistic culture of going behind the successful, going behind the popular, sort of things and all. There should be somebody who can like to uplift the weak
Yeah.
or to comfort the afflicted.
Mm.
So I mean that is one area I always feels like it doesn't happen.
Hmm.
So the motto should be, other than being successful or being popular, being good.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
as simple. And be healthy, be good, be contented, be have that satiety in
Yeah.
life.
It's interesting because a lot of folks, their emotions, they're feeling it, but they don't know where they come from necessarily.
Mm,
That's why you need
mm,
to be grounded and connect on a deeper level. And people don't give themselves the time to actually do that. And as you highlighted, you know,
yes.
some of these processes, some of these practices can be quite simple and easy. And it's a lifestyle. It's not something that you just
Hmm.
fix and it's done. You know, it's a life of intention, but it doesn't have to be
Hmm.
difficult. It's just being aware and just, living
Yes.
life in a healthier way, and how you look at the world. And I really like the way that
Yeah.
you brought up the judgment piece, because I think as humans we can be judgmental, but
Mm,
really we know nothing. It's almost like we need to start from ground zero when we
Yeah.
meet someone and actually see
mm,
them in the moment, in the
yes.
present,
Yes.
for the human, for the person that they are,
Yeah.
Yes.
without putting judgments in place.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Very good,
Correct.
very good.
Yeah.
Um, so how do people find you, Dr. Ajith? If people want to reach out to you and connect with you,
Yeah.
how do we how do our listeners find you?
Email is there. Ajith Kumar NK at gmail.com is my email ID. And
Perfect.
anybody can visit to us in Royal Heritage Haveli, where we, James knows, we do all the Ayurvedic
Yeah.
therapies also, and the property itself is, uh, I mean, so
Yeah.
charming, all those things, and the background where we can do the walking meditation and things like that.
Yeah, and I
Perfect.
will say
Mm.
the Royal Heritage Haveli is a beautiful old hunting lodge in Jaipur. It's like a little oasis, and Dr. Ajith has a team of therapists from Kerala in southern
Kerala.
India, and it's a nice little oasis. So if anyone is looking to have a wellness retreat or detox or whatever, or consultation with Dr. Ajith, then I would highly recommend it. It's literally like a little oasis, like I said, outside, the
Yeah.
hustling and bustling of Jaipur. So it's
Yeah.
is it
Very nice.
the Red City? Is that Jaipur? It's known for the Red City. Is
It's
that
the Pink City. The Pink
Pink City?
City.
Pink City.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes. The Pink City. If people can read through Ayurveda, that will be the greatest takeaway for
Yeah.
me.
Okay. Is there any books that you'd recommend on Ayurveda?
There is a comprehensive book on Ayurveda by Dr. Vasant Lad. It's a really good one, explains about everything. And there is one more book, Ayurveda for Beginners by Dr. L. Mahadevan.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
that's also a good one.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time, Dr. Edgeth, and it's lovely to reconnect. Even though we're thousands of miles apart now, but it's lovely to
Mm.
see you, and thank you for your time and graciousness
So
to
it was
come on Rocket Pod.
such a wonderful conversation. So happy to connect with you both.
Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Ajith.